Welcome, class. So we are going to start a new unit which is going to be all about poetry. And this week we're going to have a look at just some poetry basics and have a look at some poems. And then we are going to eventually move on to poetry analysis, and then at some point in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks we are going to start writing our own poems. So it's really important this week that we understand the basics. So we are going to talk about rhyme, we are going to talk about syllables, and we are going to talk about meter. So these are the main things. I'm going to do a quick introduction now, and then after my video I've attached 3 more videos which explain these 3 concepts in more detail. So if you don't immediately get it now, don't worry, I've got 3 videos coming up straight after this to explain it to you a little bit better. So this week, before Wednesday morning, you guys are all going to find a poem that you really like, and you're going to analyse it for rhyme, syllable and meter. You are going to have a group video call. You're going to discuss why you chose this poem, and you're going to have a look at these 3 things together and share it on your groups. So starting off with rhyme then. Rhyme is not with rhyme, let's start off with syllables. Syllables are basically a beat in a word. And sometimes this is a little bit harder I've found for Chinese students to immediately understand, because I don't think the same concept exists in Chinese. But basically think of it like the noise a character makes. Each character usually just makes one noise. So you are going to find out how many syllables are in each line. So let's see, we've got shall I compare thee to a summer's day. So most of these words only have 1 in, but notice compare, that's got 2 syllables, and summers has got 2. Why isn't summers 3? Sometimes Chinese students, if a word ends in a consonant, they might think that means that it's another syllable, but it's not. This is also, I think, sometimes why students might say wata, because what ends in that consonant sound, right? Whereas in Chinese that would never happen, mostly. So you're kind of tempted to put that extra noise there to make it sound more natural to you. But actually some mers, it's all one sound. There's not an extra beat there. So imagine that you're playing the drums and think, when would you hit your drum for each word? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So then at the end of the line, I'm just going to write 10, because that's how many syllables there are in that word. Let me just delete this. And I'm going to go a little bit faster now. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. That's 10 syllables again. Some of the more unusual ones. Lovely, 2 syllables. More, 1 syllable. More, 1 noise. And then temperate. How many syllables? 3. Temperate. Temperate, 3 syllables. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. Stop and think how many syllables are in that line. That's right, it's 10 again. Hopefully you're getting it now. The only word there that has more than 1 syllable is darling. Darling. And summer's lease hath all too short a date. Once again, 10 syllables. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines. 10 syllables once again. So sometime, 2 syllables. Heaven, 2 syllables. Everything else, just 1 syllable. And often is his gold complexion dimmed. 10 syllables. Maybe you might think dimmed should be 2 syllables because it ends in ed. However, say it out loud to yourself. Dimmed. Dimmed. The ed is almost kind of silent or half said, right? It just becomes one word. Dimmed. 1 syllable. And every fair from fair some time declines. 10 syllables once again. Notice that every is 2, not 3, although you could perhaps pronounce it with 3, every, but it doesn't sound very natural. Every. By chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. Once again, 10 syllables. So, untrimmed. Ed doesn't normally give it an extra syllable. Sometimes in Shakespearean it might give it an extra syllable, but if Shakespeare wants to do that, he will put an accent there, and then it will say untrimmed, but only if it's got this accent, like in French. But thy eternal summer shall not fade. 10 syllables. Notice eternal has 3 syllables. Eternal. The E, just the letter E by itself, that's got its own syllable, right? Eternal. Nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. 10 syllables. Notice owest becomes 1 syllable. In fact, Shakespeare there with that apostrophe has taken out an E to make it have 1 syllable. Otherwise it would say owest. 2 syllables, but by taking it out it becomes ost, 1 syllable, right? So he's playing with language there to make it fit this syllable pattern. We call this a syllable pattern, how many syllables are in each line. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade. 10 syllables. When in eternal lines to time thou growest. 10 syllables. Growest, 1 syllable. Growest, 1 syllable. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see. 10 syllables. So long lives this, and this gives life to thee. So hopefully you've spotted the pattern there. The whole poem, every single line has got a perfect 10 syllables. So that's what you do with your poem. You just go through and count the syllables in each line and you write that number at the end of the line. Next we are going to have a look at rhyme, specifically rhyme scheme. So we mark the rhyme scheme with letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, to represent each rhyme. So basically, the words that rhyme and have the same rhyme get the same letter. So let's go through and do it. So day is our first word, so we're going to begin it with A. Temperate. Do temperate and day rhyme? A, at. Are they the same sound? No. So then that becomes B. Now we've got this next word, may. Does this rhyme with any of the previous words? Does it rhyme with day, temperate, or neither? That's right, it rhymes with day. So we're going to give it an A to show that it's got the same rhyme as the first line. Date. Eight. Does dates rhyme with day, temperate, or may, or nothing? It rhymes with temperate. Listen, at. The exact same sound. So because temperate is B, this is going to be B as well. Going down, shines. Does this rhyme with any of the previous word? The end sound is eins. No. So this is a new unique rhyme sound. so that means it gets its own letter, the next letter in the alphabet, so C. Dimmed. Does dimmed rhyme with any of the other words? Dimmed day, dimmed day, dimmed temperate, dimmed May, dimmed date. No. So once again, this gets its own separate letter, and we're going to give that a D. Now how about declines? Does that rhyme with any of the previous words? Declines. Shines. Irons. Irons, right? So that is also a C, just like shines. Untrimmed. Mmed. Mmed. And you've probably guessed that rhymes with dimmed. Mmed. Mmed. Same sound, so that gets a D as well to show that it's got the same rhyme. Okay, and now we're having a look at the next line. Fade, aid, aid. Does that rhyme with any of the previous words? Nope. So it gets its own letter, E, because that's the next letter in the alphabet, right? Oist, oist, whist, whist. Does that rhyme with anything that we've seen previous? Nope. So that gets its own letter. F, the next letter in the alphabet. Shade, aid, aid. Have we seen that before? You're damn right we have, so that gets an E because it rhymes with fade, aid, shade, fade, shade, aid, 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 right? Goist, hopefully you can clearly see that that rhymes with oist, whist. Look, W apostrophe ST, the exact same sound, so that gets an F because they are the same. And then we've got C, E, 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 E. Nope, can't see that anywhere else. G, so that gets a letter G, the next letter in the alphabet. And then we've got V, and that rhymes with C. So when we're writing out the rhyme scheme, you actually just write it out literally like this. A, B, A, B. C, D, C, D. E, F, E, F. G, G. And that will be the rhyme scheme. And that's how we show it in English. Let me know if you do anything like this in Chinese, by the way. I'd be really interested to learn the rules of poetry in Chinese. I imagine they could be quite strict, probably stricter than in English. So this is what you need to do with your poem, the poem that you pick. Now I imagine that some of you have done this before. In fact, I know some of you have done this before because I taught you some sonnets for your EFL coursework. So therefore, the next bit is a challenge, and it's all about metre. So not everyone has to do this. Maybe this might be hard enough for some people, but if it's easy, then there is a video later on that you can watch that explains metre in more detail. But basically, metre is about the stress in a syllable, stressed syllables. And that means what syllables we emphasise, what syllables we maybe say a little bit louder or say for a little bit longer, just the syllables that we put more emphasis on. So for example, the way that we show this when we're marking our poems is for stressed syllables, we put a line above it like this, a diagonal line, and if it's unstressed, then we put an X above it. So in syllables, la isn't particularly stressed. You don't say syllables, you say syllables, right? Syllables. What's the stress sound? Well, the first syllables has got 3 syllables in it, syllables. We put the stress on the syllables. And then both the labels are unstressed, right? Syllables. The next 2 syllables are almost kind of said quickly, quietly. They've not got a lot of emphasis on. So, shall I compare? You don't say compare. You say compare thee to a summer's day. That's how you would do it generally, okay? So if you want to go through and have a go at doing the metre, then you can do that, and there's a video that explains it in more detail later on, but basically when you're doing your poem, this is how it should look. And obviously meter isn't fixed, because it also depends a little bit on how you personally read it and on the pronunciation of the reader. So it's not quite as fixed and as strict as rhyme and syllable are. It is a little bit more personal. But there are some syllables in some words that you just obviously would not put emphasis on. So by Wednesday morning, by Wednesday at 11 a.m, let's call it, because I'm going to give you another lesson on Wednesday. You should find a poem that you like. Firstly, watch all the videos, because there's 3 more after this one that you should watch. Mark the rhyme scheme and syllable pattern. Mark the meter as a challenge. This is optional. And have a video call where you share the poems, why did you like them, and discuss the structure, so that you can check each other basically. Maybe you're not sure about something, maybe you want to check whether or not you're correct, check the syllables. Yeah, so that's what you guys need to do. So by Wednesday at 11 a.m, because you're going to have another lesson, new one from me on Wednesday, you need to watch all of the videos in this series. So after I finish talking, you need to find a poem that you like. You need to mark the rhyme scheme and syllable pattern in that poem as a minimum, because for some of you that might be quite hard if this is the first time you've done it. For some of you it might be really easy. So if it's really easy, I want you to try to mark the meter as well. And then you need to have a video call and record it in your groups, where you share the poems, tell each other why you like them, why did you choose them, and also discuss the structure, discuss what you found, check each other's work, see if you agree with everything. And that's what I want you guys to do. And also post your marked poem on your group. So your poem that looks like this, just post the picture of that so that I can check that for you on your group before Wednesday at 11 a.m. Please do let me know if you've got any questions so that I can help. And that's everything. Have fun. Let's do poetry. Yeah.